So let's proceed with today's topic on how to scan for opportunities. So generally a challenge that you face in supply demand trading is how to monitor so many stocks. So many stocks, how to look at the zones that are formed, so many time frames. So it is not possible for you to manually look at different stocks and keep a track of different zones there. So is that the challenge that you all are facing? Do you face that challenge of how to identify opportunities out of the entire list of stocks? So one way for that is you start with a smaller watch list. I do not trade everything that is listed on the stock exchange. So I will have my watch list of stocks and I focus only on those. So my trading style is more of swing and positional trades. So I prefer doing swing trading. So for me, my watch list is the FNO stocks. So I start with NSE FNO stocks. The list is about 190 stocks. So you can just Google for NSE FNO list and you'll get the list of FNO stocks. But the challenge is out of 190, how to monitor those on different time frames. Assuming that as a swing trader, I'm trading on daily 125, 75. So at least 3 time frames and about 190 stocks. So we have about 570 charts to look at. So manually, next to impossible to look at so many charts together. So for that, there are some set of professional tools which I use for my analysis. And if you are doing intraday trading, my recommendation is, friends, keep the list very small. Don't try to trade everything, because as an intraday trader, you have to be very quick with your analysis. And many a times, the analysis is done in live market conditions. So you may not have time to do the entire analysis. So if you are looking at 190 stocks for intraday, it can be challenging. So I would say keep your watch list very small. So as an intraday trader, you can focus on Nifty 50 or the liquid 15. These are good enough, plus the Nifty index and the Bank Nifty index. So as an intraday trader, keep the list small. So now if you see on the right hand side, I have my watch list of all FNO stocks. So generally for swing opportunities, this is the list that I go through. So there are a couple of tools which I use for my analysis. One is the supply and demand zone indicator. So what we learned in the program was the manual way of marking the zones. So that is the ideal way to start with. Whenever you are learning something, start right from the basics. Because if you don't know the manual way, then this indicator is of no use to you. So indicator is only a decision support tool. So let me enable this indicator. You see supply and demand zone indicator. So this indicator has plotted all the supply and demand zones on the daily time frame on Nifty 50 index. And on the table that you see over here is the coordinates for the nearest supply and the nearest demand zone. So isn't it now easy? Whatever you have learned so far, manual plotting, the indicator is doing the job for you. But blindly, just because the indicator has plotted the zone, I should not be trading it. So this only becomes a starting point for me. From this, now I can apply the entire 7-step trade planning process and then look at planning any trade opportunity. So this becomes only a starting point where the indicator has plotted the zones for you. It will work on any time frame. So if you go into a 75-minute time frame, let's see if there are any good zones here. So if you see this 75-minute demand level plotted, got a pullback into demand and you're getting a nice reaction from the demand zone. As an intraday trader, you would be using smaller time frames like 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute time frames. So irrespective of the time frame, irrespective of the instrument, the indicator will plot the zones for you. So you see there are some zones here. Price never came back to these demand zones. There was a supply level. Price came back and reacted. But now the challenge is, out of so many stocks, here I have applied the indicator, I'm watching this chart. That's why I know, yes, there are some zones here. But how to keep a track of which stocks there are zone formations? So in the indicator, there are settings here. When I open the settings panel, the first thing that I see is the display table. So this is the table to the right. If I don't want to see the table, I'll just switch it off, so that this space over here is just a white space. If you want the table, you can keep the table on. So there is an option here, show only the fresh zones, the zones which are not tested. So like this demand zone, where my cursor is it fresh or is it tested, friends? Do let me know in the chat window. What do you feel? Is the level fresh or is it tested? Guys, make this as interactive as possible. Then that's where your learning will fasten. Yeah. So keep participating. So it's a tested level. Sumit, can you see this green candle wick? The candle on 30th Jan came close but did not test. But 31st Jan has tested it. So if I say show only fresh levels, can you see it has not marked that demand zone now? So for us, we lay emphasis on fresh levels. So we are looking at absolutely fresh levels. It isn't that we don't trade tested levels. Tested levels can be traded, but when you do your probability enhancer scoring, the score for freshness over there will reduce. So if you want to do back testing, it can show you all the violated zones, the zones that were there in the past, but what happened if you would have traded that? Let's check that. So I'll enable violated zones. So can you see this? This demand zone over here. There was a drop base rally. If it would have gone long, you just got a small bounce, and then finally it stopped you out at this demand zone. So this is a good feature for backtesting, displaying of violated zones. Color by default, you can keep it red and green. So depending on your chart background, if it's a dark background, you want to use some other colors, you can do that. The next one is, how many zones do you want to see? So by default, we have set it at 5 zones. Show me the nearest 5 zones. If you want to show all zones, it will show you all the zones that are there on this chart. It will show you zones which are there way back in time as well. Can you see this? It is plotting all possible zones. So sometimes the chart may get cluttered. So if you don't want that, you can keep it to 5 zones. Now coming to the important feature of alerts. So as I said, how to track which stock there is a good zone formation, which stock is entering into a demand zone. So there is a feature for alerts. So the moment a zone is formed, I want an alert coming up. So from here, just you can check these boxes. So this will give you alert for zone formations. Whenever a zone is violated, you can set an alert. Price entering a zone, you can set this alert. But the challenge over here is, for every chart, if you're applying this, it is going to consume one alert. And depending on the plan that you have in TradingView, you may not have sufficient alerts. So on a premium plan, I think there are about 400 alerts. But on the lower versions, you may not have sufficient alerts. So you may not be able to set alerts for all the stocks. So to overcome this, so what we have done is, to all the subscribers of the indicator, you have access to an exclusive Telegram channel. So what happens in that channel is, whenever there is a good zone formation on any FNO stock, we are monitoring all the FNO stocks. So whenever there is a zone formation starting from as low as 5 minutes, going up as high as a monthly chart. So we track 5-minute chart till a monthly chart, because we don't know what is your trading style. So some traders may be trading on a very small time frame. Some traders will be trading on higher time frame. So we are sending you alerts starting from a 5-minute chart all the way till a monthly chart. So real time, this alert comes to a Telegram channel where you get notified, yes, there is a good zone formation. So that becomes a starting point for you, and from there you can plan your trade planning process. Basis for zone violation, high or low basis, how do you want it? Just the wick going beyond the distal line, should you consider it violated, or you can use on a closing basis? So with the increased volatility in the market, my preference is on candle closing beyond supply and demand. Many a times you will see that there is a wick which stops you out and then it moves in your favor. So let me highlight what I'm saying. So if you have a stock here, so now counts on this demand zone, rally base rally. I'm manually marking this zone. So what do you feel, friends? The wick over here, did it come and pierce the distal line? Is the distal line broken because of this red candle where my cursor is now? But was there any candle close below this zone? Do we have the candle closing below? So candle did not close, only the wick went below. So in terms of stop loss. So depending where you have placed your stop loss. Anyway, the recommendation is to use a percentage of ATR. Still, that should save you. In the indicator, now let me keep the basis for violation as closing basis. So now you see the zone is plotted because I have kept it on a closing basis. So actually this trade was a trade which we participated, gave us our target. Technical target was the prior top. This was a nice trade there. So that's how you can customize the indicator settings. Plus, other important factors are explosiveness of the zone. Explosiveness talks about the explosiveness of the leg out. So whenever we are looking for strength of a zone, we are focusing on how explosive is the leg out. So explosiveness factor on higher time frames, let's say your daily chart, weekly, monthly, 75 and 125. This is what I call the larger time frame. 75 minutes, 125, daily, weekly, monthly. On this, my preference is to keep the explosiveness as 1.2. So that means explosiveness greater than 1.2 times. On a smaller time frame, I'm very, very choosy about the level. So I want to have a higher explosiveness factor there. If I'm trading a 15-minute level or 10-minute level, I would at least keep this as 1.5. So that customization you can do as per your preference. And by default, maximum number of basing candles, 6. I generally keep it at 6. If you want to be extra choosy, you want levels where there are lesser basing, you can change this. So this is how we can make good use of the indicator for a stock scanning tool. So as I told you, you get alerts on the Telegram channel. So but Telegram channel, if you're a trader who's not monitoring the alerts on a real-time basis, and as a swing trader, it is not required that you monitor all these alerts on a real-time basis. So the best way to do it is come back in the evening, end of the day. So there is an alert file that is shared at the end of the trading day. So generally by about 5:36, my team will post the Excel file for that day, whatever alerts were generated. So the last trading day was on 22nd. So let me just open the Excel file for 22nd. So is there an Excel alert file visible to you all, friends? क्या आपको ये दिख रहा है on the screen? Can you see an Excel file? So this was the alert file for the last trading day. And you will see alert timing also over here. What time the alert came in? 9:45, 9:35, 9:30. So we are not going to trade all the alerts, right? So you can use the filtration process here. So if you're a swing trader, you would be focusing on daily chart, 125-minute chart, 75-minute charts. So come back at the end of the trading day. Instead of all time frames, I will look at only the daily zones. So out of 190 stocks, now I have a short list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stocks. So 7 stocks on a daily time frame, there is a zone formation. So this serves as a good scanning tool. I don't need to go through all 190 stocks. Now my short list is only these 7 stocks, and I will try to look for opportunities in this 7 stocks. Just because I've got an alert, I should not be trading it. I'll use it as a starting point and then look for any probable opportunities here. So any questions so far, friends? So the process for scanning, how to look at quick look at stocks is use this filtration sheet and filter out on the zones that you trade. If you're trading a 125-minute zone, just select 125 minutes and it will give you all the alerts only on 125 minutes. So we have about, how many stocks here? 9 stocks. In 9 stocks, you have got zone formations on 125 minutes. So out of the whole list of 190 stocks, there are only 9 stocks on 125 minutes. There are zones, and I can focus only on these stocks. So this is how I use the indicator for scanning. So this becomes a very, very good and important tool for your stock scanning process. And immediate identification, visual look at a chart, and you'll be able to plot the zones. The indicator does that for you. And another tool that, along with the indicator, is the screener. Vikas, these will not be visible under the public library. These are invite-only scripts. So this is a proprietary indicator which is developed by me and my team. So this is on a subscription basis. But yes, to make good use of this indicator and the screener, you need to know supply-demand trading strategy. So without the strategy, this tool is of no use. But yes, if you know the strategy, then these are excellent tools which are going to fasten the process for you. So let's screen on a weekly time frame. So on a weekly time frame, this is telling me Apollo Hospital is in a weekly supply. Apollo Tyres is already in a weekly demand zone. Bajaj Finserv is already in a demand zone. So this also becomes a good starting point for you to plan trades. So what does the screener do? On the screener, the scanning parameter that I'm looking is proximity percentage. So I'm looking for stocks which are within 1% range of the zones. So either it is within 1% of supply or within 1% of demand. So that's how I use this indicator, the screener. You can customize this. If you want a higher percentage, you can change that. You want a lower percentage, that can be done. 1% is good enough. So 1% means it is near supply or near demand. If you want exactly inside supply or demand, just make this 0. It will give you stocks only which are already inside supply or demand. So over here, you can have a list of about 40 stocks. This 40 is a restriction from trading view. So at one time, it can screen for 40 instruments. So you can change this. So currently, I'm looking at all the stocks starting from alphabetical order. If I click on the icon here, I can change it to any other instrument as well. Although it says 40 stocks, my friends, my recommendation is do not exceed 20. Because otherwise, it gets a little stuck in the loop for some time. So better keep it light, keep it on 20. So what if you want to screen more than 20 stocks? Prepare your templates and keep. You can apply the screener multiple times. So what I have done, I have made templates and I have kept. So now it tells me Apollo Tyres is in the demand zone, Apollo Hospital is in supply zone. Let's check on a weekly time frame. Apollo Hospitals, weekly chart. Let me apply the indicator. Supply demand zone indicator here. So can you see it is already inside a supply level. So this has told me, even if I'm planning to go long, this is inside a weekly supply. So that becomes a very, very good point for screening. Other one is Apollo Tyres is in a demand zone. To see this, Apollo Tyres inside a demand zone. The basis for violation is on a low basis. If I keep it as a closing basis, can you see the stock is in a good demand zone? So this can be a good positional trade. Price is reacting from a weekly demand zone. So friends, keep this on your radar. This can be a good positional trade. At least room till next supply. At least it has got room to go to around 513. If you see on a daily time frame, yes. So over here we can first look at this as a target. So this has got some room to move till 493. So this has told me it is already inside a weekly demand zone. So that's how I use these two tools, the screener and the indicator. So a lot of you all already have the subscription for these tools. So go through this video again and it will give you pointers on how to make good use of these tools. Yes, because you can subscribe to these tools. These are listed on our website. Subscription plans are there. So you have monthly, quarterly and yearly subscriptions. So definitely the yearly subscription plan is the most cost effective, and that's also the best seller. So you need to subscribe individually for the screener and the indicator with us.